Hey everyone, welcome to the next installment of 0502. My name's Eli, and here with me as always is going to be my lovely friend,
La Julia.
And today we also have a guest. Mr. Guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
By far the most manly voice we have here.
Why, thank you.
So today we decided to take a turn into the mystic world. Since being so close to Halloween, we decided to talk about paranormal experiences that's happened to us.
We're only half away to Halloween, guys. I mean, there's only 5 more months needed.
Exactly. Not that far away. So we're all decided here to talk about, as I was mentioning, paranormal experiences that we've had as young adults. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think about it? Do y'all guys have experiences with that?
I totally do. I grew up in a house that I'm pretty sure was haunted, and my mom totally believed in Ojo and stuff like that. And yeah, so I'm on board. I don't think every place is necessarily haunted, but like, I'll take your word for it.
Okay, cool. Julio?
Yeah, I've had ghosts. I've had bad ghosts. I've had some really fucking shitty ass hauntings. Yeah.
Huh.
But I kind of want to hear your story.
Yeah, for Anthony.
That sounded really interesting.
So please, like, what? So you were saying that it's like a house you grew up in, or what?
Alright, so when I was growing up, it was the small house. And it was my parents and me and my brother and my sister, who were older. And just all sorts of weird stuff would happen. Every now and then you'd see, like, just the usual, like, shadow that wasn't supposed to be there. My sister's radio would turn on by itself a lot, like, full blast. And then...
Wait, was this at, like, specific times?
No, just you'd
randomly.
be hanging out and then it, like, would
that's
turn on.
fucking scary.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, Lord Jesus, that's a fire.
We got ghosts.
Her closet door would not stay shut consistently. Like, it was just probably bad hinges, but every now and then you'd be sitting there at the door just like, grrr. Like, it was like living in a bad horror movie that nothing like super bad happens. But the weirdest thing, and I swear to you up and down, she had some dolls, and they were the kind of dolls that have the big, like, hoop dresses and stuff. They're like, and the umbrellas and stuff, but they have no feet. They're just in, like, a podium here on stands.
And the casings?
No, they were out of the casings. They were gifts, but she had, like, one and a bunch of different colors.
That was traditional back then. My sister also had them. They were fucking creepy.
And there were a couple of times where you would leave the room and you would come back and all the dolls would be facing the wall. And I remember a few years ago, me and my brother and sister got together and we were like, okay, we're adults now. Like, if one of you was screwing around, now's the
time.
Won't be mad, just admit to it. And we were all no, it was the scariest stuff. Like, just not that anything else happened beyond that, but just you would walk in and all the dolls would be like, and you're like, what the hell is
that's scary.
going on? Yeah.
It really is.
Do you have a problem?
Do you still see anything like that to this day, or no?
I'd say not really. I mean, every now and then you get like a weird feeling, but no, we haven't had anything like that. Although I was visiting my sister several years ago, and one time during the course of the stay, her radio turned on by itself again, and I was like, "That's not bad." So me and my sister kind of joke around like, "Wait, is it attached to me or is it attached to like which one?"
Yeah.
Oh, and we used to joke that my sister's closet was the portal to hell because that was the door that wouldn't stay closed, and so we're like, "Oh, it's the portal to hell," and she's like, "Fuck you guys, shut up!" Get all mad. Oh, sorry, I don't know if we can cuss.
Yeah, no, you're good to go.
No, yeah, of course.
Full throttle, buddy. Yeah. We don't censor here. Damn, that's creepy.
It is creepy. I don't know if I can. Well, I mean, yeah, I think I can handle all of that. I had a really pretty shitty history when I was younger. My mom and my sister were the ones that went through it with me. There was a lot of things that went on. I don't know, somewhere along the way, I think I picked up something, something that was meant for somebody else. That kind of shit. And so I brought it home. And so I was telling him this story the other day. It's kind of like a thing that would follow me all through like middle school, and then not actually elementary, like the late years of elementary, like somewhere around third, all the way up to what was my 7th grade year. So it was pretty shitty because it was like this random shadow that just followed me over and over and over and over. And I normally wouldn't pay attention to it. So another thing that I told him was back then I was trying to, play it off as if I was straight. So I got into football just to, make something of myself and make sure my dad didn't, or at least thought that I still loved pussy. Which yeah, exactly.
Because getting on top of guys isn't gay. What? That's what the core of football is. Get on top of others.
I know, but I didn't expect that to be the.
That's a takeaway from me.
Yeah. So yeah, one time I sprained my ankle, and that thing, like I tell you, would be across the fence. And if I don't know, if, the middle school I went to, the one that's behind the really old elementary, Hardin, behind it, Lucio, right? So, there. It was just fenced on like one side. The rest was just like open to the public. It's like the border wall. There was no point. So that lady would fucking stare through that. Well, it used to take a form of an old lady when it was in school. And one time, no matter how many times I told the people like look at it, to them she was fucking invisible. So I knew that it was something that would follow me precisely. So I walked up to the fucking lady. She put her leg out and she grabbed my, my foot because I had sprained it. She fucking healed it. And when I walked away from her and, the coach came and he looked at me, I was like, she's fucking gone. So when I went home, my mom obviously just fucking played it off as...
Was that when you turned gay?
No.
It makes sense.
Was it like...
Hello.
Hey.
That would be fucking funny.
What if you body switched and you don't know it?
With whatever fucking... Okay, it got dark. It got really dark as we went along.
Sorry.
Clang, clang goes the trot. Sorry, my last punch. Go on.
No, yeah, that's when I turned gay.
You bastards, you found me out.
It was like,
happens to everyone.
What the
That's
fuck
good
am
for
I
yourself.
wearing? I'm back. No, yeah. So, yeah, that thing would follow me home, and once it finally got inside the house that day, because my sister was being a bitch, when the door opened, that thing went inside. I used to make sure that when I would go inside houses, I would go like to keep it out, because that's the only time I would get a break. So when it went into the house, it was like, okay, now we're gonna fucking be constant. Wherever we go, we're constant. So, in the house, it started fucking with me first. It would make me get up. I would fucking walk to places. I would stand in front of my mom for a while, and then I go back to bed. Or if my mom woke up first, then yeah. So when my mom woke up, she first thought that it was like a phenomenon of like sleepwalking, and that's how she played it off in her head just for her sanity purposes, I'm sure. And then later on, I did it again, and she was like, okay, whatever. It was when I was holding a knife that she finally was like, okay, what the fuck? So then, of course, the night when I went to the hospital, because I got pushed down the fucking stairs, so I went, and I don't know if you know, like those old homes built in like the 90s made of pure concrete.
Yeah.
That's our fucking house, the 2-story house. So I fucking went down, I opened my head, it's fucking hell. Like, and it eventually ended up catching up to me to where I ended up having to go to somebody like a curandero.
My mom was actually my whole family was a firm believer in Ojo. And I remember people would show up. My mom, her twin, and my grandmother were known for the strengths of their Ojo. And I remember people showing up every now and then being like, this hurts and it's your fault and da-da-da, and I needed to, and so she would take the egg, and this falls on what I was saying earlier, about knowing so many non-medical uses for eggs. And so she would lay it down and she'd do the whole thing and crack it in the water and all that stuff. And then sometimes She also did susto, which is when you're scared, she'll take you take the branches off a tree or something like that, and it's the same thing. You kind of, the bad energy as it hits you is supposed to go into the leaves, and as they die, your fear dies, da-da-da. But one time she did it to me, and I was fucking allergic to the leaves that she used, and I was like itching all night, and I was like, "You're never touching me again with that stuff." Like,
I wonder if she thought it was like the demons coming out of you.
The lady down the street was that super old Mexican lady that like will, like lay her hands on you and like try to heal you and pray over you and stuff like that. Like it was like it was like the witches of the barrio or something. Like that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
What about you?
So some of the experiences I've had, there's a couple. One of them that I remember was I was taking a shower, and I was alone. 'Cause where I live, it's a 2-story home.
Mm-hmm.
So I was alone upstairs. Nobody was upstairs because everybody was outside because there was a cookout or something like that. And we used to have, because we were kind of like on the poorer side, so we had like the old school phones, that you can get off offices with a big speaker and everything, and it's loud. When you click the dial tone, it's really loud. So I was taking a shower, and I don't know where it just turned on. And then I was like, "What's going on?" And it turned off. And it happened like twice, so I was like, okay. So I finished my shower, went downstairs, and I was like, hey, who the hell was like fucking upstairs? And they're like, dude, we've all been down here. They told me so. It was kind of creepy, that happened. There's other ones where I got choked in my sleep, but I think that's because of my sleep apnea. And then also sleep paralysis. That's always fun, and you start imagining things that aren't there, and you start choking and stuff like that. It's always fun.
I actually had that, the sleep paralysis. Like, I fucking spent a long time thinking that, like, a demon had tried to attack me in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
And you're frozen, and I managed to scream for my sister. This was, like, in 8th grade. And I would not sleep with the light. I didn't sleep in that room for 3 days, and I would not sleep with the lights off for, like, years after that. Like, if something's coming at me, I want to see it.
Damn.
But it's the
sleep paralysis.
I feel like that makes it worse to sleep with the lights on, because you know that if they go, you're like,
that's when you pull out the egg.
That's when they pull out the egg.
I was like, you were setting yourself up for failure on that one.
This isn't a supernatural story, but I saw Paranormal Activity 2 in the theaters.
Okay.
And so when the maid is the Latina maid that they fire, and then things are going bad, and they call her back, and I swear to God, when she pulls out some like olive oil and a crucifix, and the theater started like clapping. And like the mood shift from like horror movie to like action movie, like people were like, yeah, like it's on now. I leaned over to my friend, I was like, that poor demon. Like,
my best paranormal experience movie that I had, was the first one. I watched it in New Mexico, and I was getting bored of it, so I was like, I'm gonna get popcorn. I went, and because I was like the last one there, they gave me this huge garbage bag just full of popcorn that they were pulling out, because that was what they had left over. So they're just like dumping all the popcorn. They're like, hey, you want it? I'm like, fuck yeah.
I wonder what if there was like actual trash at the very bottom.
Dude, it was like those clear bags. It was tasty though. Whatever was in there was good.
You
but
just gotta stay on the top.
Exactly. I didn't finish it, but dude, it was like the best thing, because I sat there with a big old bag. I'm just like,
you're gonna be like that big rat from Ratatouille, though. It's like, what are you eating? Are you actually eating actual garbage? It's like, no, this tastes pretty good.
Yeah. I'm not picky. Oh man. So your whole thing, you say you went to a curandero. Did it stop, or have you ever like experienced anything?
Yeah, it stopped, of course. You don't see me like fucking with big old. I mean, yeah, I still got,
That's a different story.
Yeah, I'm like, I still have it, but not as bad as before. I mean, I used to sleep.
Yeah,
I used to not sleep.
Used to not sleep.
Like, it was just constant. It went on as like moving shit in the house and like doing all sorts of things until my parents ended up taking to Mexico. In Tampico, they had me there for a whole month of the summer, and I remember that it fucking sucked, man, because it was just constant. At 6 a.m, he would break into the house and he would start like fucking ringing bells and shit, and like fucking carrying all sorts of scents on him. And he would wake me up with like a whole fucking barrida of like yerba buena and random oils and shit like that. And you would be like, do I have to smell like ajo? You know, like, we're not trying to kill vampires here. So I would fucking wake up and be like, God fucking damn it, here we go.
You're seasoning me?
In case he loses. No, it's him you want.
What's the A1 sauce for?
So yeah, it was really bad. He would wake up and all that shit. He ended up fucking passing these swords in front of me on the very last of the rituals. That's all I remember of the real world at that point. He like went, pop. I'm pretty sure I went into hypnosis if we're looking into like a real scientific point of view. But I went into a nice little trance where I had a line in the middle and I was standing right in the middle of it. This doesn't help.
See, that's how you turn gay, because you're straddling that line.
It was very deep.
I'm sure it was.
So standing into those points, one of the sides was like very like gray, like very dull, like it looked like, okay, this is fucking gonna be scary. And the other one was just like fucking a normal room. And I couldn't see him, but I could kind of hear him. And it was just of a kind of like he was telling me what to do. And the only thing I remember, I don't know if I understood wrong now that I think about it, when you said, what if this isn't you, you know? Oh, shit. So he said, go, find the place where you need to go. And then he said,
the toilet?
Remember, appearances may be deceiving, but in Spanish. So, yeah, I got really, like, scared. And I was like, okay, that means that the black one is a good one. So I jumped to that one. And I woke up and I was like, oh. And yeah, that was it. And then like, I came home, nothing followed, nothing. I slept an actual night. Like, well, it took a couple of days till I finally gained the confidence to like
sleep. Yeah.
And it was fucking awesome. And ever since, yeah, I don't have the haunting. What about you? Did anything ever did you ever feel like something followed you into college from home?
I want to say not really, because I think it was the night terrors. Like,
yeah.
I would feel like I was being pinned down, or something something would just bounce the bed every now and then. And that was the thing that always threw me off. It wasn't always the something's crawling up the bed, because what I remember distinctly was, so my bed fit exactly. My room was shaped like an L, and my bed fit right between two walls. There was no space. And so when I was laying down on the bed and something felt like it was crawling up, I was like, there was no space for anything to be there. Like, nothing should be. And I'm on my stomach. And my brain was like, if you turn around, you are going to regret it.
It's gonna hurt.
You do not want to see what is coming.
No. So you were laying
not in the fun gay way.
God damn it, you're gonna regret it in the morning.
No, but I remember being super scared and screaming for my sister. Now, I'm gonna add to this backstory. My brother, who I love dearly now, was a total asshole at the time. He's 8 years older than I am, and we had bunk beds. And every night for 2 years, he would say, good night, and by the way, if you hear breathing behind you, don't roll over. It's the devil.
Oh.
And so I would not sleep on my side until like college, literally, just out of the fear that
maybe, like, why take the chance?
And then the night terrors started, and I'm like, this is not helping. and actually,
you learn how to sleep.
What's interesting, even now, I don't like the room pitch black unless I'm with somebody. But if I'm by myself, I need at least a little light. I don't like it pitch black.
That was my husband.
Yeah.
When I met him, and I'd get pissed. I'd be like, God damn it, turn off the lights.
Yeah, no, for me, at the height of it, I was at the point where I couldn't sleep anymore, just because I was like, if I fall asleep and I stop breathing, there's the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But, so it took me like a couple of weeks to get the idea that it's just my head, because I was like, once I realized
which one?
that what
you said it was just your head, but which one?
Don't worry about it. No, because I came about it like a logical side. Oh, you know how the logical side of me came out in Spike? they used to have this show, A Million Ways to Die or something, or a
Mm,
thousand,
oh, yeah.
right? And one of them was that. It was a case of a woman that died of asphyxiation because that's what she thought. So I was like, okay, so I researched into it, and that's when it just stopped.
Mhm.
I actually started playing with it because I was like, if I'm gonna be in sleep paralysis, I might as well have fun with it. So I could see it coming. So I would, joke around with myself, and sometimes I'd imagine things around me. No, like I would imagine things around me that are more trippier to like stimulate the mind in other ways. Shut up.
All these
Yeah.
all these bikini models.
Like, ooh. No, it was usually like trippy colors and I went with stoner stuff. Like stoner colors. I don't know.
The purples and greens.
Have either of you ever done lucid dreaming?
Yes.
Or been able to?
It is so much fun.
Explain, because I don't know the definition.
It's where you learn to control. So you look for signs in the dream, basically, that tell you that it's a dream, and then you're able to control it from there.
So there's like the studies where you count your fingers each time.
Yeah.
And if you count in your dreams and you can't count them, they're like, I'm dreaming.
So some of the big tells are like light switches that don't work, or
Breaking the laws of physics.
you got clocks that blink. For me, stairs that are real weird that you're like, how the hell did these get built? Like, this can't be legal. Stairs are a big one. I cannot dial a phone. I can't sign my name. Like, I'll screw it up every time.
Oh yeah, I've had that.
And then the keeping in the theme of the haunted stuff. If I'm in a house and there's a room I don't want to go into, like I'll feel like it's haunted, that's when I'm like, oh, it's a lucid dream. I'm like, I don't have to go in there. And I just like go away from it. Like I'm a grown ass adult.
I didn't deal with the bullshit.
Doesn't it suck before you were able to control it? Though,
Yeah.
where you would go into
Yeah.
it regardless.
The other thing is every now and then. Have you ever woken up and your brain is just like, ah, yeah, we're done. Like we're out of material.
Like, come on.
Like, let everybody out.
Yeah, I've
That's
had
lucid dreaming, where you control it.
I have had those.
For me, it's like when something happens that should like breaking the laws of physics. I'm like, I don't think that's supposed to be there. Or even if I'm in my room and I'm like, why is my TV on the ceiling? Like stuff like that. I'll be like, oh yeah.
Oh, mine is that I jump and then I don't so much fly, but I can like.
Oh yeah.
Glide. Like I don't come down nearly as fast as I should, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Whee!
I'm like, oh, it's a dream, but it feels so real.
Yeah.
But then I don't go too high because I get scared that I'm gonna like go
What?
out. Like, fall.
If you die in the Matrix, you die in real
Yeah,
life.
exactly.
See, I guess that's the benefit of not have seen these movies. I'm not scared of dying in a dream yet.
You should be.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
I watched The Matrix in the theater, and the lady next to me, I'm lost. And I was like, oh my god, like I wanted to like stop the movie, let's do a flow chart.
Like, come on, lady.
Keep up.
Is it really that complicated?
No.
At the time it was. At the time you were so lost in how good the graphics were and how weird the story was. But in hindsight you're like, oh yeah, this is not aged well.
No, it didn't. Like, the story's cool to think about, the fact that we could be in a simulation. That's pretty cool.
Would you guys be down for a remake of that?
The Matrix? No, we're
Not a remake, but with what they're doing, with the continuation of it, I'd be okay with it. Because Neo was supposed to come in, and so I was like...
That Animatrix is actually really good.
Dude, I
I've
saw
seen
that
those.
one. It's really good.
Those I enjoyed those quite a bit.
When I saw one of them.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
The whole it's like 9. I think it's like 9 animated. Like they're all
Yeah.
short cartoons, but I enjoyed
We
that.
probably saw the first one, the one where he jumps off at the end.
Oh, where he's running or whatever.
Yeah.
I was really young. I don't remember.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go
I
back
feel
to.
bad for you.
It's okay.
So
We're the
what?
same age.
What are some of the ghost stories that y'all grew up with?
The one
Especially
that...
like the Bransfield.
No, the one that haunted me, and I don't know if it happened with you guys, was that if you slept with your feet uncovered, that the devil was going to pull you by your feet.
That one, yeah.
That one was good. I slept covered for a long time because I was like, as a kid, I was just scared about it. But...
Or if your foot's dangling off the bed.
Oh yeah, it's true. Or
Earlier.
Yeah.
I never got any of those. For us, it was just don't look under the fucking bed. And it was like, why? I don't know, just don't look under it. And you were like, oh my god.
that
That's
one.
stupid.
My brother told me, and sister told me the La Llorona one.
Oh yeah.
But they made it like extra bloody,
Oh.
like scare the hell out of me. And I was like, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, I was too young to hear a story like that. Like it was gruesome.
It was a
I had also the Kukui.
that one.
Kukui. I
Yeah.
didn't know about Kukui until
Oh my
here,
God.
but there's a really good Stephen King short story called The Boogeyman.
Oh.
That's really kind of a little on the fucked up side, but it's a good. I like. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just didn't know his name was Kukui down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. And the Kukui was scary as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like when they would say like, "Míralo, ya está parado en la esquina," and you were like, "Oh my God, he's in the corner!" Ah! And it's like a fucking coat. And you're like, "God fucking damn it!" Or they would turn off your fucking lights and they would slam the door. And they start like, and you're like, oh my fucking God. Why? Why were you running like an idiot? I don't know. There was
Dude.
nothing in there.
Or run up the stairs when you need to turn off the light downstairs and you need to run up.
So the music building, the original one, was haunted.
Dude, that whole section was haunted.
Because there were all sorts of things that would happen there. You would be there by yourself and you would hear like somebody imitating an instrument, like if they're like, "Dur, dur, dur, dur," and you're like, I know I'm the only one here.
Oh my God.
One time I was at a concert and my job, one of my jobs was to open the door for the person going on stage, and I couldn't get the door open, and then I felt it get yanked out of my hand, but there was nobody on the other side, and I was like, so anyway, so this building is all weird. And then exactly, and it gave him the starting pitch and everything.
There you go.
Anyway,
And it just so happened to be that fucking note.
But they had a name for him. It was Charlie, and like everybody knew about Charlie. But anyway, so the building was just creepy to begin with. But the problem with it was, if you went in the doors that led directly to the band hall, the light switch was across the fucking room. And so I worked the concerts late at night, and sometimes you forgot a cable and you had to go back.
Yeah.
And I swear, and there was never anything to prop the door open there. So I remember I would throw the door open and I could sprint across that band hall room and turn on the light. The fear was that if the door closed, the fear was that you were going to reach for the light and something was going to it was going to touch you also.
Fuck.
And so that's why I was like, anytime they were like, oh, we forgot a mic cable.
Son of a...
And I was a work study, so I was the one who got sent, and I was like,
Dude.
It sounds fucking horrible.
Fucking hated it.
Okay,
every
I
time.
have a question for that story though.
Uh-huh.
Where the light switch was there another door, like an emergency exit next to it?
So if this would be this door, there was an emergency exit along that door.
So you could have easily come through here, but the fuckers decided to make this one into...
Yeah, so there was no access through that door. You had to come across, through. And it sucked if the band was messy because sometimes you had to feel around chairs. I hated it. Set B was haunted also. You would hear things. One time I was practicing I had a concert the next night that I was doing, and we stopped because we needed the piano player, kept hearing people walking through the aisles, but nobody was there, and we were like, I think we're good. Tomorrow will be fine. We're ready.
I had a project for physics once at Set B, because I believe now when I was there it was science classes, and yeah, we had that problem. And we thought, oh, it's just the janitors, and then we would like come out and it's like, wait, do universities have janitors? Like we were like, oh shit, and then it's like, you know,
yes, they do.
Like I'm sure they do.
Two little fucking freshmen there. So I remember we were finishing the project and we were gonna head out. We were like, you know what, fuck it, let's call it a night. You know, it's getting too late. And you walk out and it's like, holy shit, there really is no one. And you realize, oh my god. And as you're walking down the hallway, you feel like if there's other people walking down the hallway sometimes, and you're like, huh, it's an interesting feeling. The Mary Rose Cardenas,
Yeah.
the North and South,
Yeah.
those also felt funky. I don't know if you ever had any.
I had lots of classes there, but they never. Okay, so there was a pissed off mockingbird that would make a nest in the courtyard and would, like fucking chase people. So people would be like running out of the courtyard with this like angry bird, like. And the stairs I'm sorry, this is not supernatural, but the stairs were real steep, and if your backpack was too heavy, they were real hard to go up.
That's before they installed the elevators, right?
They had elevators, but you were as likely to get stuck as not, so it was easier to just take the damn stairs. But sometimes I was on class from like 7 in the morning until like 10 o'clock at night, and so if you've got all your books and you've got to do a like 90-degree vertical ascent, like
Yikes.
Ouch.
Sorry, I have apparently issues. So.
Oh, yeah. Aren't those still very steep there at SEPI?
I didn't have any classes in SEPI, just a lecture hall. Anyway, we'll save that for UTB TSD members.
Yeah.
UT insert letters.
Yeah. My husband always laughs at the fact that he's like, I graduated from a university that no longer exists.
I get it. So yeah, when they're all like, where are your college t-shirts? I'm like, mine doesn't exist and I don't have any of them, so
I'm sorry. It's like saying I went to STVT.
Yeah, no.
Oh, did any of you ever hear of La Lechuza?
Dude,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
actually, I wanted to bring that up. I was like waiting, like, where's the right moment? I had a couple nights, one followed me. So I would ride from work, because I was on a motorcycle. I would ride from work, because I worked like sort of around the corner, but I still had to get on one of the highways. And on the off-ramp, I had one just come down to my helmet, just saw me, and we went for a little bit, and then just took off.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember every night for like a couple months, the time that I would get home, I would see it just kind of perch up, like just flying and perch. And as soon as I noticed it, it just took off. So I was like, oh my god. But I don't know if it was like relatable.
Can you explain the story? I didn't know about that. There's
yeah.
Oh, so the Lechuza is it's an owl. It's a
Yeah.
woman that transforms into an owl, and she will call your name sometimes to bewitch you, essentially.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to break the spell. Like some of them, you have to like turn all the pockets of your clothes inside out or something like there's different ways that you're supposed to
break out of this puzzle.
get rid of her. Yeah, she's but it's an owl. Very border stuff.
I have never heard of
Yeah.
La Lechuza.
I always every now and then I'm like La Lechuga, and it's
La
like a big
Lechuga.
head of lettuce.
Lettuce
No,
is scary.
The other thing is owls. If you saw the movie The Fourth Kind or whatever, they have like
Dude, yes.
owls that are all associated with the alien abduction.
Wait, do you know which
Yes.
fourth kind?
Yes.
Oh, it's such a good. Sorry.
Oh,
Anyway.
no. And so they have the owl thing, and then me and my brother were driving down Pablo Casell going to the mall. We were going to go to the movies, and it was a late show. And then this big motherfucking white owl flies across the road, and we're the only ones on the road, and we're like, what? And my brother's missing time, look at the clock. He's all like, missing time, like is it still? Like we were all like, we're probably a little stoned too. But it was that. But then I was like, La Lechuza, like
Yeah, no. Where in my previous home that I used to live in, we had like it was like a barnish type of little shed, like a really old school thrown together shed that was falling apart. And I remember vividly that every night there was just a bunch of owls just there. And it was the creepiest thing, because like years later I saw a fourth kind and I was like, oh my god, aliens were trying to make contact and I didn't notice it. And then the whole Lechuza thing happened when I was working, near my house. So it happened, I was like, what's going on with these owls, man?
See, all my life I grew up with the notion that, oh my god, owls are so nice. Owls are...
Oh, I loved it. That's why I was so cool with it.
No, yeah. No, I grew up... You guys knew the other story at least. I never heard of this story. So right now I'm like, holy shit, I got a shit ton of owls inside my house. Like the little figurines and shit. I'm like,
How old are you?
27.
Okay. You may not remember this. Do you remember when the Virgin Mary showed up in the tree downtown?
oh yeah, I do.
No, I remember the tortilla one.
Yeah, I remember that one too. And on the brick.
There's a great Simpsons where God is talking to him. It's like, I have to go now. I have to go show up in a tortilla in Mexico.
Yeah, that's... Simpsons did it all, man.
Anyway, so there was this tree, and one of the knots of wood looked like, I'm doing air quotes, looked like the Virgin Mary, and like the town went nuts.
But it really didn't.
Like people were holding vigils and like leaving pictures, and like they make like crappy Xeroxes of pictures and like handing it out.
Yeah,
and
I
shit.
remember this because my grandma was really holy and she actually went to go do all of that. I was so happy. It was one of those moments where I finally I drew the line. I was like, no, I don't want to go.
I went and I was like, I don't see it. But anyway, now I know where I'm. Whatever.
I just saw it on the magazine. On the
Newspaper.
on the newspaper. The magazine, Time magazine of the
The
year.
tree fell down, but I think the branch is like in the museum or like the city museum or something like that.
Did they think they were like reenacting Pocahontas or something?
I don't know.
You will understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta stop because one more second of that, their Disney's gonna be on our ass.
No, but that was just like Brownsville kind of weird.
Yeah. Religion is fun in general.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Alright. We started. That's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, that one has to be a whole other one.
Do you remember when was it like last month or was it a couple of weeks ago when we were here hanging out and you decided to go pee?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you want to tell?
Okay.
Because you were there. I'll tell you my perspective in there.
Yeah, so you can hear both ends of it. So I got up and I went to go pee out here because by that time it was like 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning.
So I went outside to not make the dogs go crazy, and my husband is asleep. So I went out here and I took a piss. But as I took a piss, I felt that somebody's walking closer and closer and closer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that heavy feeling as if somebody's coming behind you. This guy, meanwhile, is getting water inside the house. So he steps out, he opens the door, and it's like this utter silence. Like, you just had a stop. Like, the director went, whoop, no bugs, nothing. And all I hear is this guy's voice. Hey, did you want water? And so, but I heard it right here. So when I turned around, it was like this cloudy thing, and it just went. And I was like, and I flipped, right? Like,
yeah.
I screamed. And then so I walked back into the house, and he's like, what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? And I'm like, I'm not going out there.
But I went to pee right after you. Because you're like, you said, I thought somebody was blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I'm going to go pee.
Yeah.
The door closes, and I'm about to start my stream. And then I hear, like, the chairs, like, being hit. Like, consistently. Just, gosh. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I turn around. Nothing's moving. Nobody's there. So I finish up, and I come inside, and I'm like, hey, did you hear that?
He's like, do you want me to turn off the lights outside? I'm like, yeah. God fucking damn it. Like, he thought I was going to be like, oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let me go do it. No, let me go do it.
But I think what I heard was what is this? The persiana, what is it?
Oh,
the
yeah,
blind,
the
the
blind
blind hitting the window. But I was kind of freaked out about it because he told me. I was like, what?
I do hate when you've got that sound you can't
Pinpoint?
And I've discovered that I have a weird... Every now and then, I'll hallucinate the doorbell ringing. Just once in a great while. Like, it'll be like 4 in the morning, it'll sound like the doorbell rang, and I'm like... And I've gone to investigate, there's no sign anybody's there or anything, and I'm just like... And then now I've got a roommate, and like, I'll hear it, but then I don't hear him get up because he's got the closer bedroom to the door. And I'm like, okay, if he's not getting up... like,
Nothing's there.
Yeah. So, I think it's just a weird, like...
Ping.
For me, it's the equivalent of that jerky feeling when you feel like you're falling.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of that. Every now and then it just kind of... you're like... Oh.
It's just the vibrations just locked in there. It's like the solstice. It just happens.
There was this one time that I forgot to say was that my bed used to be by the window,
Mm-hmm.
and at night the moon just comes in directly. Like, I have full moon throughout like most of the night. And this one time I was asleep, and like in the middle of the night, I can't even remember what time it was, my bed was violently shaking, just violently, and I was grabbing onto the bed. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I think this explains it, that I heard like an airplane, like the sound of one just like hovering above. And then eventually, after a while of continuous vibrating, it stopped, and that's when I passed out. I guess I freaked out too much. It might have been the whole paralysis thing, but I think it was a plane.
Huh?
I want to say it was a plane.
It was like a fucking demon just like.
And I'm like, it was a
fucking
plane.
wake up.
It was a plane. That's
The
what it
whole
was.
time you've been in paralysis, so he can't wake you up. It's like, I need to haunt your ass. Wake the fuck up.
Wait, come back tomorrow. Yeah, but yeah, no, that's I think that's
Can you sleep with the closet door open?
yes, I do it all the time.
What about you?
I'd prefer it closed.
Okay, when we moved into this house, I was so happy that the closets are. You saw right now when you went to the restroom, they're not at all in the bedroom area where you sleep.
But then when you hear them closing and opening,
Okay, that's where I'm headed.
oh shit!
When we first moved in, there wasn't any furniture because we had just moved in, like, you know, day one.
Yeah.
You just moved your bed. Yeah, all the boxes are here, but the stream of air is actually stronger than you think when
Yeah.
there's no objects to stop it. So there wasn't anything to stop that stream of air. So first of all, the fucking doors, all of them went like loud, and so there's nothing here. So it's like, and then I'm fucking scared of any of that shit right at that moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh fuck, here we go.
I shit
Back
my
to my
pants.
childhood. And it just went loud. And so the closet doors, even though they have those weird grates,
Uh-huh.
like the spacing, that fucking shut too. And it scared the shit out of us because it was like, oh my god, we got ghosts. Like, we legitimately thought there's something in this house. So the second time we had something happen in this house was when I used to have my office over here on the smaller room of the house that looks towards the pool in the back. And I was sitting there doing my work, you know, like actually working.
Actually, air quotes. Actually,
Yeah. No, I was actually working, and I was super busy, and the dogs, my Schnauzer, the gray one, the boy, he's more of the kind that will come up to the door and ask you, hey, I need to go pee.
yeah.
So I let him out, and once the door opens, everybody hears the doors open, so everybody wants to come out, and everybody left. I close the door, and I'm there doing my thing. So the fucking, mind you, back then I used to have to get up and let him out through here, because these doors, the side doors, didn't have an actual lock to them. It was just a deadbolt that we didn't have keys for when we first moved in. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the closet doors start going, and I'm like, oh, the fucking air is gonna turn on. Like, that's my thought.
Yeah.
Then they go, and I'm like, okay, that was too fast for for the fucking aircon to do that. So when they went open, and I'm like, oh, fuck. The other one goes whap, and then across, if you see, there's like 3 other big closets. So like, wow, all the fucking doors start opening, like like in a domino effect.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm already up, headed out. Like, I'm like, no.
Fuck this noise. I'm out.
So when I come in through this hallway, all of the fucking doors, and from the pantry and everything, were just, even the aircon door, all the doors were open. I called Luis, and I was crying on the phone because I was shitting my fucking pants.
I ruined a good pair of pants today.
And so he was like, it's the fucking wind. And I'm like, it's fucking not. Especially when the windows started going up.
The fuck?
I started fucking screaming. I'm like, it's not the fucking wind. And so I'm like, fuck you don't want to fucking believe me. So I hang up on him and I call my mom. And my mom starts praying on the fucking phone. And I'm just there on speaker. Needless to say, it fucking worked. Because she's like, no, like, she wasn't even saying, like, spiritual shit. She was just, like, fucking praying or rosary or whatever the fuck. And then everything at the same time, wow, all the fucking cabinets closed. Nothing was spilling from the cabinets and all that shit. It was just all the doors were opening, and that was, I think, scarier than cabinets. Because then it's like, okay, let me go pick it up. This was like,
they're in already.
Yeah. So, when that happens, when everything closes, the front door is the last one to close. And it closes, like, really strong. And even up to now, if you walk up to it, there's a small crack in the middle of the door. And that crack happened that day. It was super loud. It was like, and I was like, whoa. So, and I fucking started crying. Luis got here and he was like, "What the fuck are you fucking crying about?" And I'm like, I was, like, I just went through so much. It was like giving birth.
My mom's first thing would be like, call a priest. Like seriously, just get a priest bless the house. Like,
Yeah, my mom gave us holy water.
Mom is all about like holy water. She's like just
I've
a gallon of it in the house just in case.
I've had like creepy experiences here though.
Here?
Yes,
Yeah.
like the first couple times that I slept here because I was not sober. One of the nights, I know you have like your dogs sometimes like come out to get water, but this was like actual a person walking.
I have those all the time. Yeah, I'll sit down and I'll be watching TV, and then you hear like the wood, right?
Yeah,
the
like
displacement
it's just
of or the not
the pressure.
the pressure. It's like the whole.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, there's no one,
dude, for real. And in your kitchen, I heard like something. I know I heard like a sound, like a song, like an old song or something like that. And I thought you were in your room playing. And I even asked your husband, I'm like, hey, dude, like, what time did this guy go to bed? And he's like, dude, he crashed out as soon as he got over there. And it happened twice, like 2 nights in a row that I've heard it, that it's just like the pacing, and I'll hear something, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
It's trippy. This house can be trippy sometimes. But that's why we have these guys up.
These guys, the guys, the lowercase t.
Sorry. The lowercase t. So we'll hear these kinds of things, and Luis is the kind that he's not sensitive to anything, or at least he's not a little bitch like I am. And so he'll actually like fucking straight up be watching TV while I'm over here like fucking getting choked in midair, like. So, but yeah, I have had those moments where I'm alone here or I've been working.
Yeah.
So I used to actually be in that room before we have the roommate. I used to work over there. Because after that incident, I didn't want my office here, so I moved it over there, and it was worse. I used to type, and back then this entire house was carpeted. I told you.
Mm-hmm.
So you would sometimes hear in the living room like that specific carpet.
Yeah.
Like the muffy
kind shuffle or something.
Yeah.
Like when they're fucking running, I would hear that a lot. And mind you, I have 2 doors in the way, so I would have to come into a little tiny hallway that was just pitch black, and then get another door to come out here, because if my computer made any noise while I was typing or whatever, I didn't want to bother him.
Yeah.
So it was a fucking pain in the ass sometimes, because it ended up turning bad. Because here I could just come out through the back, and I'm like, I'm safe outside, But yeah, it was just really creepy. You would hear the running, and then every now and then the shower would turn on, and it would just do its thing, and then you would hear it turn off. And you know how you can hear that running water kind of thing in the pipes? That's how it would sound. And I later found out that it wasn't this shower. It was just Luis getting up to use the restroom. But it fucking scared the shit out of me, man. So I'm sure there was an explanation to a lot of things. But one of the things that really scared me once was when I was over here, he was dead asleep. I kept calling him, babe, like, get up, because I was so scared. That door was closed, like you see it now. Chanel was walking across the hallway, because our doors obviously mirror each other, right? She's walking across the entire hallway and headed to that door, and as she gets closer to the door starts going like this. That's my baby. That's my baby, my little chihuahua. So I see her walking in, and when she walks in, the door closes. And when the door's closing, that's the first time he ever bothered to get up. And he's like, it's the fucking aircon, that it turns on. But I'm like,
that's not what I saw.
It's not the aircon. And so my poor baby went in there.
Unsupervised?
Needless to say, I didn't go in there for her, because I know that it was probably a trap. So when I heard her barking, I opened the door, and I was like, Chanel, get over here. And when she came over here, I was like, Phoom.
I'd be like, she is not a snack.
She's all bone. I have a friend of mine. He came to visit me one time. You know him. I don't want to say his name, but army guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. White boy.
Yeah.
We'll just call him that.
My cutie, my boyfriend.
We love him to death. If he hears this, I hope he does this. Shout out to you, buddy. Love you.
I want to suck your dick, daddy.
Yeah, you better believe it. Anyway, we were talking.
He offered.
Yes. So, he was talking. We were talking, right? And we casually got into kind of this conversation of things we've experienced and blah blah blah. And as I was telling him, my whole sleep paralysis thing, but at the time I didn't know that's what it was. I was not I was still an idiot. Well, still not, but anyway. And I'm telling him, and he gets this like really wide eyes, and I'm like, dude, what's up? He's like, somebody just grabbed my earlobe repeatedly and just stopped. And he looks and I was like, yeah, that shit happens here.
So you mentioned you had sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Was that like I know you obviously run out of air.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I'm presuming that I was telling you this yesterday, wasn't I? Where you go from sleep apnea, and then because your oxygen levels are so low, you end up in hypoxia,
Right,
and then you start hallucinating because at hypoxia levels
you're starving of oxygen.
Yeah, so you start seeing all sorts of shit. So that demon that you guys are seeing on top of you, because you can't move, I'm presuming your muscles are also locked, meaning your lungs.
Yeah.
So
are
you hallucinating the demon because
Yeah.
of the hypoxia?
Well, that's the belief. There's a documentary on Netflix about it that talks about sleep paralysis, because this is something that's been documented for like.
But what do you see why do you guys call it a demon? What do you guys see?
It is very often associated with the feeling of evil, like something means you harm.
It's like a demon, evil, whatever,
or like a really bad spirit. Like I just remember being like, if I turn around to look, that's why I was like, if I turn around to look at it, like I will, basically, I'll lose my mind. Like it will be, I will be looking at one of those things face to face. Like it was,
No, because for me, when I did experience it, it was just auditory. I felt the weight on me. I felt the hands around my neck, but I couldn't see what it was, and I just heard, I'm going to kill you. And then
I've never had a visual hallucination of it, but I've had like that.
Yeah, because that's what it's associated with. Like it's not necessarily that you might see.
So you
it.
guys don't open your eyes.
No, I see when it happened to me. I see my body. I just don't see what it is, and it's just like choking me, and that's when my eyes start rolling back because I can't breathe.
I am asleep, but the last couple of times it's happened, it's been a while, thankfully. It felt like something was sitting on my chest, but then it felt like it was trying to get like inside me. Because I remember having a point where I'm like trying to push it out. And actually, so we went to my nephew's graduation from the Marines, and I was sharing a hotel room with my parents. And I had an episode of that where it felt like something was trying to get at me. And I remember I'm laying there in the bed like, because you can't scream. And my dad hears me making these weird noises, and he's like, "Oh, it's a bad dream. Just start praying." And then he goes back to bed, and so I'm like,
he was making you use your lungs.
No, I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, but it was. I just remember that distinct feeling of it was trying to get in me, and I was like, "All right,
that sounds fucking scary." As shit.
Also,
I was telling him I've never had one, and I guess I am thankful that I haven't had one. Hearing what you guys,
you're just scared. Like it's bad.
But is it like a fear that you don't experience often? Like, is it that level of fear where you're like, because you could be scared of like, oh fuck, he almost hit me, and you get scared.
No, this is like a fear for your life.
Yeah,
like
it's like your life hangs. Like
the only time I've ever experienced something like that where I was asleep was one time when I woke up. I could see everything in front of me, and then I wasn't able to breathe. And I was like, and reaching out to my little sister. This was like way back when I was a child. We were traveling, and we're on a car. I don't know what happened that I just ran out of air. I woke up and I was like, whoa, trying to reach out for someone, but I could move.
Yeah,
which is why I don't.
It's because you need to distinguish, because we talk about sleep paralysis and sleep apnea. Sleep paralysis, you just can't move. And sometimes the sleep apnea kicks in.
Oh, that's right.
There's a difference because you get them in the combination.
I just thought that sleep paralysis was combined immediately with.
No, not always, because there's times where I felt completely fine. It's just somebody's using my hands as like marionette. Like I'm laying in bed and I just see my hands up here and somebody's just moving them.
And I don't have sleep apnea, so.
Yeah, I do have it because so there's like, I don't know if you know anything about sleep apnea. Yeah. Like, you know?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
I
So-
read the sleep studies all the
Okay,
time.
well then, like the ones that I've experienced, which is like the most common ones, is where your brain just tells you to stop breathing, and the second one is when your throat just closes up on you.
Mhm.
So I've experienced both, and that's like the differences, and it sucks both because the best thing, I don't know, since you don't have, but I'm sure you experienced it, is that the harder you try to breathe, the worse it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know that?
Well, that's what was happening to me in the
Yeah,
vehicle.
because
I
you
guess so,
need
yeah.
to like slowly breathe in, like
The only
a little
second time
bit.
I've ever experienced that was in the army. They put a fucking gas mask on me just to try to see if it fit. And the fucking drill sergeant passed by and he took both cartridges off. I didn't know you need the cartridges to breathe. I thought you would just end up breathing nothing but air, you know, like
No, it closes.
no,
right?
they shut, and so it was like, mind you, he waited till I exhaled to.
What the breathing in? So essentially, you have to balance the air pressure, but everything's closed up, so you can't. And so the whole purpose of the machines that you put on is it has a sensor, and when the air pressure goes wrong, it forces air in. It takes care of the problem for you, essentially. Because otherwise, you're just waking up like over and over and over and over and over throughout the course of the night.
I've never had it. When I go to
It
bed,
sucks.
I go to bed.
No, it sucks. I haven't had any episodes. No, actually, I like mini episodes.
Have you
But-
ever been woken up though? Like woken up?
Like full blown because I can't breathe.
No. Like outside of it though, like on a haunted point of view.
Oh, on the sorry.
Have you ever been woken up?
I don't think so. I mean, once I thought I was pretty sure I heard my name, but I can't. It's not anything I can't possibly attribute
But
to.
I don't mean
hallucination.
woken up as in like somebody says something just clearly.
Like
goes,
they grab you and they're like, "Hey."
No. You just wake up and you're like, and then you're like, what? Wait, why am I awake?
Yeah.
And you're at that point and you're like, whoa, and then you start thinking to yourself, holy fuck, did something wake me up? Because shit starts getting like weird and creepy, or it's just your mind playing tricks with you.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've had little moments like that, but it's just, again, it's nothing I couldn't attribute to maybe, like, the other thing is I remember my dreams really well, so sometimes I think it's just a little hallucination, a little part of the dream that, like, and then I'm just like,
Yeah.
Also, I tend to go from asleep to awake quickly. I'm not one of those people that takes, like, all morning to wake up and da-da-da-da-da.
Dude, I wake up and go back to bed.
No, I'm up, and my problem, though, is that once I'm up,
You're up.
I'm up for a while, yeah. So.
Yeah, that's how we are too. Last night, for example, we were up all the way till like 2, and then he went to bed, and I was kind of like, "Fuck you," because I ended up being all by myself, and I'm like, I can't turn on the TV because he's asleep, and I can't leave the bed because then he's gonna be like,
Where are you going?
"Where are you going?" So it's kind of like, what should I do?
Phone.
Yeah, phone. And then as you're on the phone, somewhere along the way, you know, the phone makes a noise or something.
Yeah.
And you hear it echo or whatever, I guess, in the real world perspective. And you're like, oh shit, what was that? And you just go on your little trip.
Yeah.
That's me all the time.
For me, one of the things that I've had, like, one of the fears with the whole spiritual or the haunting stuff is waking up and seeing a shadow through the window. Like something that's not supposed to be right. Because, like I said, my
Like
window.
someone standing outside?
Yeah, because my window gets hit by the moonlight, so you see everything. You'll see the trees. You'll see everything.
Because you're just getting hit by the moonlight too.
Certain. Okay, so I have my bed, but I also have this really huge round. It's called a Big Daddy chair. It's just a big round chair. Sometimes it's just fucking great to sleep on. Like if it's nice weather or if there's a cool storm or something, because I've got double doors that you can open the curtains to, and it's really cool. But I'm always aware that, like, you might wake up and see something you don't want to see. Like am I being watched while I'm asleep at any point? So.
Just please don't film me. I do weird things.
I'd say I'm not scared of that. I've told Luis that I would love to have an all glass house, like on the exteriors.
Oh.
I'm not scared of.
Well, I mean, I guess
Watch me, I want you to watch.
Yeah, but it's not that like the peeping Tom. It's more of the
just the shadowy
the
figure.
shadowy
Like,
figure that
like
you,
just
yeah,
somebody's out your window.
yeah,
outside
or
your
like
window.
an alien's looking at you like waiting to do something. I don't
You
know.
just see a shape, but you don't know why it's there.
Yeah.
Like,
Or it just looks like a shape that should not exist.
And it just so happens to be a shadow this whole time.
Yeah, it's like a tree or something, some
Yeah,
random ass thing.
That's happened to me, like especially when I've stayed out in places that have balconies.
Oh.
I'll look down and I'll see like shadows, and I'm like, the shadow doesn't look friendly.
I hate it when you're like driving and then you think you see someone and you're like, what? Like, and then it's just like,
Oh, on the river mirror or what?
well, no, not in the rearview mirror, just driving along. Like, you think you see somebody and then you look and it's like, oh, it's like a hole in the fire hydrant. Like, there's something physically there, but like for a second your brain's like, there's a person. That's not a person.
Have you guys ever heard of this like lady in Palo Alto? No.
I think so. Keep talking.
You know that road that goes to Los Fresnos?
Is she a
Yeah.
hooker?
I don't know if she's a hooker, but she acts like one. No, so
I know that road because I run up it when I do the long distance stuff. So.
okay, so on that road, you know that corner where that the cannon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my friend used to have this thing called the fucking Dodge Neon. Worst piece of shit you could ever fucking
I
own.
know the Dodge Neons.
Oh. It used to always fucking break down right there. So on one of the breakdowns, I get off, and I'm like, just pop it. What?
I know what you're talking about. Okay, go
Yeah. So I was like, just pop it. So I popped it, and it wouldn't fucking start, and it wouldn't fucking start, and it wouldn't fucking start. So I fucking closed the damn fucking hood. I got in the car, and I'm like, let me call my dad. And he's like, alright. Mind you, this is already like, what? Give or take senior year, I think
Okay.
it was. So, we're out there. It's the middle of the fucking night. And all because he wanted to go drop off his girlfriend who lived all the way in, what is that called again? That area, not Port Isabel, but the pretty one.
Oh, Laguna Vista?
Laguna Vista. So we had to go drive her all the way over there and come back.
Uh-huh.
The fucking car broke down. So when we get in, he claims, I got scared as shit, of course, because of his actions, but he claims that he saw somebody sitting in the fucking back seat. And he flipped the fuck out. And the car wouldn't start, but the radio was on. So, and the radio was on his regular fucking music, which so happened to fucking be neon trees. So I was like, here we go again. Yeah. Yeah. So, there we are, listening to this shit. Meanwhile, and I'm over here like, oh my fucking god, this guy's tripping the fuck out. So he gets out of the car, and when he gets out, this kind of like white veil-ish thing gets out. That I got to see. I don't know if it was another car's light, what it was at the moment, because we were so fucking, where I was panicking. He gets back inside and the fucking car turns on, and nothing wrong with it.
This is not supernatural, but going back to my little Geo Metro baby.
You're Eminem.
The only time I ever ran out of that car, I was at a friend's house and I sat down. I saw the biggest motherfucking spider just like drop from the building, like in the mirror, and I was like, ah! Like I ran, and I was like, I need a stick, I need something. I was just, and my friend's like, why are you running around my yard? I'm like, it's a big spider. Like, it was one of those big like orb weaver ones, like the ones where it's like the body's like your thumb.
Oh
and
no!
Then it's got legs. And I was like. And I'm not normally scared of spiders, but I don't want one that big touching me while I'm driving, or ever.
I would crash.
I hadn't started driving, but that's the only time I've ever like run out of a car full speed. I think it's huge.
Not when he takes off his pants. That thing was huge. Jesus Christ.
That's another podcast for after hours.
It's 11.
And we are talking
Max.
about stuff that's scary.
Let me tell you about Steve.
You leave Steve alone. He's a phenomenal person.
No, I have heard that there's something out by Palo Alto that I think tries to get in your car.
Yeah.
Oh, I just remembered one. I'm sorry, were you going to go somewhere with that one?
Oh, just that your car handle gets jiggled. And I'll go one more story and then I'm done.
Yeah, no.
Super short. And then apparently going out to like Boca Chica Beach, there are phantom cows. It came out in the paper, and they said every now and then people call in like, hey, like there's a herd of cattle like loose on the road, and they come and like there's no cattle, like there's no problem, and they're just like fucking ghost. Like the article's like ghost cows.
We need to go. We need to drive down, and I need to show you that. When I was a child, I used to always tell my dad about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because every so often you would be driving back from the beach. I don't know if you ever saw it, and you would see the cows. You know how the moonlight shines on their skin, like just the white part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're driving, I would see them, and I'd be like, "Wow, look, there's cows out here. Like, what the fuck are they eating? It's all sand and like random ass foliage."
Yeah.
And then eventually it turns into monte, you know, like thick woods. And every now and then you would see them on the side of the road, or my dad would be like, "God damn it, these fucking cows," and he would stop there. So I wonder what the fuck is going on in the outside. Was it you, Elon Musk?
Probably.
The phantom cows of Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Hey, you did a shout out to us not too long ago at a different podcast. I was like, shout out to the Valley.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you, Elon, for providing employment that we still haven't seen.
And your Musk.
Yeah.
But that's another podcast.
No, we were featured in Travel Channel, I think, like years ago.
Okay.
Huh?
Oh, is that okay?
Oh, sorry, you knew where I was going with this.
Oh.
The battlefield.
Palo Alto.
Yeah, because apparently, like way back in the day, there was a story of a truck driver stopped in some field I'm assuming that's what it was, and they saw like men in uniform like just running at each other and killing and shooting each other, and they all freaked out, and they ended up driving off, and they could see them like on the roads and shit. So we were like, featured because of that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, like it's haunted. It's supposed to be haunted.
I feel like I don't know if I've heard that one.
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
I like riding in that battlefield. It's an interesting.
Yeah.
When you like, you can run around. There's some trails and so you
Yeah.
can get some, but the scenery is it's just a big open fucking field with
It's like nothing.
with a lot of warnings about snakes. Like, look out
dude,
for snakes.
like-
I'm like,
Every couple of feet, you're like, watch out with snakes. Thank you.
Really?
yeah. Oh, actually, there was one time. It's the only time I saw an animal. I wasn't totally sure what it was. I think it was.
Sasquatch?
No, it wasn't. Not quite. But,
Mexican Sasquatch?
Mexican Sasquatch, which is real sad then.
Juan Squash?
Juan
No,
Squash?
it's the things in the area. They're like deer, but they're not. They're
Does?
nigiri or something like that. Like there's a weird name.
Oh, yes.
Nagali or anyway. Look it up.
I know exactly what.
Anyway, not super
New guy.
important. Yeah, that one. So I was out there and
Oh, there's a city deer.
No.
Yeah.
It's these imported cows from like Asia. or something.
anyway, this big fucking thing is like moving across the field, and like I stopped and was like, I'm gonna give that thing space because if it comes after me, I can't outrun it.
You guys are over here talking about a fucking cow, and I'm over here thinking of something smaller. Like a
No.
deer.
It's so weird.
It's sizable.
Yeah, it's a big freaking thing,
but
and it's delicious too.
But I was like, people will hunt it, but I was like, I'm gonna let that pass. Because I've been on hikes before where you bump into like deer, and you see the doe, and those are fine. But when you get when you see a buck, you're like, and we're just gonna back up. And I'm in your territory, so sorry, sir.
Oh my god.
Please don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been stuck in an elevator?
Not necessarily stuck, but I got stuck with a group because I'm somewhat claustrophobic, and we were touring up because it was a big dinner tour of the college we have here. And they're like, come on, get in, and I was like, no, I don't want to, and they forced me, and we had to travel, and it sucked. That was me getting stuck in an elevator because I hyperventilated. And,
What about you?
I haven't. My only fear with that is that we would get to the point where I'd have to pee or poop in there. Like at some point you're gonna have to, and people are gonna talk about he pooped in there. I'll be like, bitch, I was in there 48 hours. You're lucky I only did it once.
But I did it in the corner.
Yeah.
I did it in the corner.
So when I lived in Shanghai, we used to have in the work building, it was 10 different elevators because the buildings are huge, and each elevator was in charge of a certain amount of floors. That way you're not stuck in an elevator all the way to the top with everybody from each floor. However, mind you, there were still about a good 10 floors in each of the fucking elevators, so there was a lot of moments where it would get stuck and the lights would turn off because the lights would power roll ups. And then you had like the random touch
Did you ever see that M. Night Shyamalan movie, like The Devil or whatever? It's where the people are stuck in an elevator and they
Yes.
start like dying.
It's
Oh,
such a good
fool.
movie.
Is that the one where the devil comes out on the screen?
Yeah, and he's like, oh, like, and he has to call his aunt.
Is that the one that the grandma was at the end?
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it was some weird ass fucking.
It's worth
is.
watching it.
It is still, sorry.
No, my favorite elevator moment in a movie is Resident Evil. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Okay,
Is it with
so
the lasers scene?
It's the movie, yeah, the laser scene is awesome. So at the beginning of the movie, the people get stuck in an elevator, and then they manage to get the doors open, and they're crawling out, and then the thing, like the elevator starts moving, and the woman's like, no, and you're like, oh, that's the start. This movie starts well.
Yeah.
Resident Evil is a fun movie because there are 3 scenes where the boom mic can clearly be seen. Like, they're
No.
like, "Da-da-da," and you just see a microphone like, and I'm like, dude, like, edit it. Like,
Whoa.
I didn't know that.
How did you miss that?
We need to see that now.
we need to see it.
I didn't know that. I haven't seen Resident Evil.
Oh, it's not bad. The laser scene is.
It's a really good
It's a
scene.
good death scene. There's some good death in it.
Yeah.
It's Mila Jovovich just fucking kicking mutant monster ass.
Is that a good movie?
Huh?
So it's a good movie.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, it's a good slasher. Not a slasher, but it's like a creature.
It's a
film.
mutant creature. Da da da.
I want to see it.
I remember when the first time I watched the Fourth Sign or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't place her, the actress. I was like,
Oh.
where have I seen her? Where have I seen her? My friend goes, you've seen her braless in Resident Evil. And I was like, oh, that's true.
She was also in Fifth Element. She likes numbers.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
multipass.
Really?
Multipass. That's
Yeah.
her. That's right. I forgot.
Oh.
Such
I
a good
love
movie.
that one. That one and Valerian.
Oh, yeah, you're telling me about that one.
Sorry.
Valerian was.
That's another podcast.
Yeah.
That is not a good movie.
It was a good movie in the sense of, I guess, the storyline, but it was just horribly done in regards to the characters that
It
they
was
picked.
terribly cast.
Yeah, the casting was just.
The actors.
Anyway, but that's
Yeah.
another podcast.
Yeah.
When we dissect movies.
But I have one last
Oh, I can
question.
dissect the hell out of a movie. I watched The Shining for like. I'm at the point like one of my favorite movies is The Shining, and now I
Good
watch.
choice.
Now I watch it on like frame by frame, like this. Interesting. Like I'm watching it for the technical stuff now. So
Oh, man.
I saw that in the theaters recently, and it was fun because there were girls with their boyfriends and like, like screaming. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this is the effect that like it's supposed to have, like a still soft movie.
It's good.
It's a really good
That's
movie.
a really, I just recently saw it. With
Yeah.
you, right? I had never seen
Oh,
it.
you know what my favorite part of the movie is? It's this. Shelley Duvall, the mom,
Uh-huh.
does not know it's a ghost story until the very end. She just thinks her husband is going crazy and her kid is really weird.
They
So she
tortured
knew.
her. No, they like off camera. They tortured her.
But the mom character, so the boy is seeing things and the dad's getting possessed, but the mom does not know any of this. She just knows her husband is going mentally unstable and her boy is too. She thinks her family's going crazy. She does not know it's a ghost story till like the last 10 minutes of the movie, and then she sees a ghost and she's like, what?
Yeah.
She like really like. And I'm like, oh, that poor woman. Like she just, if she only knew earlier.
Yeah, she
A
would've been out of
little
that
heads
fucking
up.
place.
Yeah, I'd be like.
The one of the best things that came out of the movie was the Simpsons spinoff. That was so good.
Here's Johnny, David Letterman. Like he keeps.
And he goes like, I'm something, and
Yeah.
we're on 60 seconds.
That's just stupid.
Treehouse of Horror.
Dude, the radio
Oh, yeah.
conversation, it's in like, hell, my husband is going crazy trying to kill us. Over. Oh, well, thank God it's over.
Oh, they were called the shinning.
The shinning because they don't want to get
Yeah,
sued.
they're like because of copyright.
Speaking of movies, I want to ask you guys one last question. What movie did you guys see that's actually scary, that has actually shook you in your boots to where you went to fucking bed and you were like, holy fuck.
So, you want to answer this
Yeah.
first?
Well,
Or-
let's
no,
end
no.
with him actually because he's he's our guest. We gotta fucking end it with him.
Or do you need some time here?
No, I'm
Oh
sure
no,
he has a really good movie.
I know the movie, but just go ahead.
Full
go
throttle,
ahead,
sir.
Dylan.
You have the floor.
Let him be the grand finale.
Okay.
Yeah,
alright, alright.
you all.
Yeah. So, when I was growing up as a child, my
Uh-huh.
parents one time grounded me, and when they grounded me, they said, "You know what? You can't watch TV. You can't anything." So I had me like that for a good week, and I was grounded for 2 weeks because I got in a big fight. So, on the second week, my mom had gone to this place called Vista Video, where you used to rent
Oh,
movies.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
I miss those.
So we went to go rent a VHS
Like a
movie.
porno room in the bed.
With that little string thing as a door.
Anyway, sorry.
so I went to go fucking pick a VHS movie, and she was like, "Oh, but you're grounded, you can't watch that." And then she saw what I picked, and it was like Jeepers Creepers or something. So I was like, "Okay, I want to see this." And she was like, "No, eso no." Sí, está bueno, esto sí. Like she was like, "Okay, this one's gonna give you some education," is what she said. Like, this one's gonna teach you something. It's like, alright. So she fucking rented it for me. She even bought me a lollipop so I can watch it.
Oh.
So, it was a weekend, so as a treat, sometimes if we helped out around the house, we could stay up late,
Yeah.
So, on that night, I was able to stay up late. My sister was in her own mood over there in her period and shit. So I got to be alone in my bedroom because there was only two of us at the time.
Uh-huh.
And, I closed my door, I even made popcorn and everything, even though
badass.
I don't even like popcorn. And so I fucking put on the movie, and yeah, I was so scared. Like, I was watching it from my bed in my sheets. Like, oh my fucking god. I went from sitting in front of the TV to moving to my actual bed, like on top of the sheets, to moving inside the sheets. And I was so fucking scared of the fucking truck every time it honked. Oh, that was the one thing. And just recently, Luis and I had an encounter where we were so scared of it because he actually hated that movie. And that was the only movie that really shook his boots when he was younger. So we drove down Seguin
Okay.
to get back down to the valley. And it was the middle of the night. It was like freaking 4 in the morning. And this little truck, like the Jeepers Creeper truck, pulls up behind us. Well, first before us, and then it turned off. And then it came behind us. And we were like, oh, and you can ask him. He was shitty fucking bricks. And I had an old ass car at the time, so I was like, if we break down, we're dead. But yeah, that was the fucking movie that did it for us.
Damn.
That's a good movie. I like the psychic lady, and she's like, "I'm just a black woman."
Oh yeah.
Y'all are gonna die, but don't listen to me.
For me, it was 3 movies that shaped my childhood. Shaped.
Oh.
Shaped. Yeah.
The Shining.
No, the first one.
Is that a lightning bolt?
No, It.
Harry Potter.
No, It, the
It.
TV movie.
Yeah. It's a good fucking book.
Then the Child's Play. Like the
Chucky?
first one. The first one. I was a kid when I saw it. I was like, dolls are coming after me. And the final one that I saw in the theater, which I hate my brother for taking me, Silent Hill.
Silent Hill is a good movie. That
I
held up.
remember
That one shook me too.
the babies. That was a terrible scene.
I remember
Everything.
I remember playing that game when it first came out at a friend's house, and we played it like midnight just for full effect. And you have the speakers like when that radio starts, the static, the shit's about to start. You're like, like we're getting like real scared.
It was a scary game. and
Yeah.
My favorite scene of that is the nurses.
Oh, yeah.
When she's got to walk past the nurses that have to like razor blades, the
You know-
scalpels.
You know what scared me the most about that? Right now that you're mentioning the nurses, is that I don't know if it's before or after where this guy comes. I think his name is the Jackal or whatever. The one with that.
Oh, yeah.
He just sliding just carrying
I
a
know.
fiddle sword. That part, I don't know why. Of all things, that part was
Because
just like.
it's scary.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my fucking god!
They're gonna take my skin.
Like all these things that fly and can beat the
No,
shit out
it
of you.
was
No,
that.
it was that one.
No, yeah.
He can swing that long sword.
Damn.
You
What?
unpleasant.
Yeah.
My movie, my contribution to this conversation is Event Horizon. Have y'all seen that one?
Fan Horizon.
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay, so, sci-fi movie. There's a space station It's a ship that it goes faster than light and it disappears, and then it reappears like X amount of years later. So they send a crew to investigate, and then all this bad shit starts happening. And then as you go on, you realize that the ship has been to hell and is now basically like possessed. Like the crew is dead. They find videos that are all just like everybody's dying like these weird, bizarre deaths. But there's one sequence in there where they're watching a video of what happened to the crew, and you just see flashes and images of like hell. Like they're real fast, but they're if you're remotely Catholic, they pull at every wrong string. Where you're like, oh, eternity, if that would suck.
Yeah.
And it's the only movie I've ever had to be like, I need a minute. Like I had to stop.
Pause
I was
it.
watching it on VHS of all things, and I had to pause it. Be like, I watched Saturday Night Live because I remember I need a minute.
Peace and tranquility. We had this moment recently. Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Snowpiercer is so good. That's a good movie.
Oh.
But anyway, so I watched the movie, but to this day, my brother knows it. Like, he knows that movie scares me. He knows I will not watch it again.
What is it called again?
Event Horizon.
I
It's
think
got
of-
Sam Neill, the dude from Jurassic Park and stuff in it. And so every time I see it, I'm like, fucking Sam Neill, I don't trust you. Evil.
I want to see that one.
Yeah, I'm curious. We need to check
It's
it
on
out.
it may not have aged well, but it's got some stuff that's not
Not bad.
I would recommend at least a watch. I think it's an underrated but terrifying movie.
Ah, cool.
What about Stigmata? What did you think about Stigmata?
I love possession movies. Those are so fun. I'm actually interested in like stigmata stuff, like religious folklore, things like that. It was a movie. I mean, it was very. What year did that come out?
I thought it was like the worst shit I ever
Was
saw.
that like the 90s?
Yes.
It was very much like a lot of the horror movies of the time, which is to say, not great, but you know, when you're a teenager, then it's $1 movie, so like, fuck it, you'll check it out.
It's like I listen to Evanescence anyways.
Fuck Evanescence.
Yeah.
So on that note, that cheerful note, we'd like to thank our guest Anthony. Thank you so much for being on today's show. We're looking forward to the next one, and stay tuned.
Bye, Anthony.
Bye.
Bye.